Show me how to run it. Is it already going?
You want to do it to me?
No. But once it got straightened out.
You want to spend it?
And then back.
I just assumed it.
Okay.
Assumed it was no connection.
I'm positioned. Later now, so look at that.
Would you like to have
You
that?
got
We'll serve it after that. It's already.
Oh, boy.
It is time, that's after. Is.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, call to order. Go ahead.
Well, on behalf of myself and several others that approached after the remembrance ceremony yesterday, I want to thank Chief Carlton. I know you spent time encouraging your crew for quite a few months, and Rick Foreman, Commissioner Wilson, everyone who helped. The speeches were wonderful, succinct, but it was a very moving ceremony, and it ended on a happy note of community spirit and all. So thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Great participation.
Thank you, Julia. Yeah, I think on a personal note, I completely agree with Julia. It was, and I'm sure I speak for everyone, it was a great event, it was very good. And I'm sure we will be looking into annual events.
Yeah, absolutely.
With our help here, we can do that. We have great participation from Nielsen's. We provided all the food. I would also like to make just one observation, and it's only an observation, and it's not to shame on people, but I was flabbergasted that the All Points Bulletin was 100% absent yesterday, and that this was a beautiful opportunity for a community newspaper to attend this event and to put this nicely in print and photo. I've never been in a meeting on the point here where, like you said, Julia, it was a sad moment, a sad event, but then it ended up to be a happy event. And for that, I feel not, it does give me a bad taste that the newspaper didn't hear. And I talked to a lot of people afterwards, and believe me, I have. Everybody agrees with me. That's all I want to say. That's-
You know, different people took photographs, I know, I saw them. So why don't we just do it ourselves?
We did
Why
already.
why don't we just send in an article with photographs? Oh, you
Lena
did that?
Yeah, let's take care.
Finished at
So-
10:30 last night.
Really?
I did write a letter to the editor
Okay.
regarding what happened, forwarded 4 or 5 photographs
Okay.
that were taken. A wonderful one of the audience with the flags behind, one of the district superintendent, Bruce Harper,
That's
from the
correct.
BC ambulance, with Bill Mersing, and Rick Foreman from the Coast Guard. Excellent shot. So they have no reason not to put something in. And have requested a version of it go out through to all the subscribers and point to interface. And I did make a notation to Carol Fuge that All Points Bulletin was not represented there. The community should know what happened. It was a wonderful event.
Good for
Very
you.
moving in the participation between the Canadians and the Americans. It showed me what 2 countries can do outside of war to work and cooperate.
Yeah, I think the final tally of the participation was 81 people
Is that right?
for Remembrance Day. And it was held here in this room to honor the vets. just to make sure everybody understands that is currently watching. It was Remembrance Day yesterday, and we honored both the Canadian and U.S. vets. We had a 93-year-old
Yeah.
here, a woman who served in World War II, and she was in top secret decoding and everything from the Germans, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And she was here participating in it as well.
Oh, she helped make sandwiches and serve. It was wonderful. At night, we could.
Yeah.
A 93-year-old.
Elaine.
Name.
Yeah. She was a cougar.
Yeah, so it's great. It's good.
All right, let's move on. Thank you again for that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for your work.
Approval of the minutes of last month.
Well, I've read the minutes and I'm happy with them. I make a motion for approval.
I'll second that.
Okay, we're all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any more discussion on that? No? Okay, motion passed. Next on the agenda, Suzanne, go ahead.
Current month payables total $24,685.90, which includes a few items to point out. Volunteer payouts that are included in warrants total $5,961. This reflects October activity. Shell oil, $1,216. U.S. Bank Core, $6,906. Profire emergency equipment, there were 2 invoices totaling $4,608. Payroll for November totals $15,077.67. This represents a month's salary for Chief Carlton, a month's salary for Chief Shields, and 1 meeting for 3 commissioners, and 1 meeting for the secretary. And the volunteer payouts for October total $7,872 in payroll. I've printed the financials for October and they're in your paperwork. We require motions to approve warrant requests covering current month vouchers and current month payroll.
Thank you, Suzanne. Gentlemen, any questions about financials?
You know,
No, I will,
U.S. Bank Corp.
I knew you were gonna ask
Well, it's just large.
that. It
so
is.
give us sort of a summary.
I can. I don't know what this stuff is for though, so Chris will have to jump in.
I can help with that.
Vital Smarts.
Vital Smarts, so the biggest portion of that, 6,900, is 3,500, which is Vital Smarts. And to let everybody know, I went to San Diego for an entire week and took a professional development course there. It's called Crucial Conversations. And it's a leading New York best-selling book and an international course that is taught to corporations in the 500 and 100s at all levels. What it does is it helps people work through difficult solutions when stakes are high, emotions are at the breaking point, and it helps people get through those conversations. My goal of taking that professional development course is to bring it here and not only offer it to my membership, to my officers, because it's very important that all of our members, one of the most important things we can do is communicate correctly with our patients or with the public when it comes down to emergencies. Offering that to my membership, first of all, my officers, also bringing it in to their significant others to help them in their personal lives, so just not professional but personal. And then extending this course into the community if there's any community members that would be interested in taking this professional development as well. So it's offered to every member of the organization, including your wives, your spouses as well, and our ambassadors, which is Margaret's going to be taking it in November. So my first course is going to be November 30th, ending December 7th. It's a 16-hour course, full 8-hour days, packed full of education. They get the book and they get a workbook as well, but it takes us through a number of scenarios which assist with working through difficult situations.
And then the other charge for $1,032 was the warrant some
voting.
kind of
Yeah, the board voting.
appliance.
Our stove upstairs went kaput. Motherboard flew and the oven stopped working. I called for repair. The extended warranty that I initially purchased expired in March 2014. And the repair, the stove itself cost, I think, $700 at the time that I bought it, and that was in 2011. It was going to be over $600 to come up and repair it because of travel time and the motherboard being placed back in. So I decided to purchase another stove for upstairs.
Smart.
All right, thank you. Can I look into this course that the chief took? I think it's excellent course. I'm glad he took it. I hope the commissioners agree with that.
I do agree. Yeah, I think somebody for sure should.
Yeah. Noting that the chief paid for his own transportation and hotel, that's still correct.
That's correct.
I would like to suggest, only a suggestion, that the organization pay for his per diem meal costs for the time that he was away, including travel time. Just an idea.
I agree with that. We have something, during my tenure here, we have something where it's a certain amount per day for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Bill, maybe you recall that.
That is actually set by the state,
Yes.
and it's on a daily basis. If I remember correctly, it's either 46 or 51, it escapes me, it was like, I want to thank the commissioner.
It's
for-
$59.
It's somewhere in there for 2014 at this point, but the state is the one who sets that for the different jurisdictions or regions in the state. Obviously, King County is more expensive than we are, so they get a higher per diem. We get less. East side of the state gets whatever as well. I want to extend my appreciation for not only going to this course, but being able to bring this course back and benefit the organization and community through offering it in an instructional. Because I'll be, after I teach my initial 3, I'll be an instructor for the Vital Smart product and crucial conversations. I plan on taking crucial accountability as well, and that's going to help us maintain accountability amongst my officers, my ranks, firefighters. But I have to say that the cost of the course is something that the district paid for. I believe that I have a responsibility too, ethically and morally, to pay as well. And I don't believe that the public should have to pick up all of my expenses, even though it's coming back to support this organization.
If you don't have to find excuses here and there, I know you're trying to do that now.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just forget about that. You pay for your airfare, your hotel.
Pay for my hotel and my airfare, which I consider to be ethically just.
That's good.
That the organization. He doesn't agree.
I don't either. You're nuts.
I mean,
Yeah, I talked to him about it, and he said, no, we're going to do it, and he wants to pay for the meals too, and that's why I brought this up, and
I think it's smart you bring it up, because I see a justification here where the 4 of us sitting at this table could have said, well, we're all going to that conference. That would have been very expensive for the district. You took it upon yourself to go, saving a great deal of money for the district, and I think you should be reimbursed for these things. I really do. And, we want to encourage you to do it again.
Stan, we're not going to convince him that we're going to reimburse you for everything, okay? So you'll settle for meals probably.
Well,
The sushi was pretty expensive.
That's why it's a good deal.
That's right. The sushi is pretty expensive down there.
I'd like to offer another idea, which is that here tonight, we craft out some language about what constitutes a business trip and the value to the district, and set a fee, a reimbursement fee, and if the chief wants to turn it down, there's nothing we can do about it, but we have it on the record that that's what we want to do. We consider that an A+ for initiative, And any cause for benefit to the Point Roberts, certainly. And the function of the course and the purpose of the course is to arm you and the other students with methodologies and protocols for talking and sensitizing to talking with our constituents.
That's correct.
And our associates. And those are critical times in the kind of business we're in. And I commend you and would like to introduce policy that with approved travel, the district pays something.
I agree, Jeff, let's give that some thought and we'll bring that up if we want to at the next meeting in December. So, in general, I agree with you. How about you, Stan?
That's fine, I want to take it up. Again, there is a thing out per diem as far as meals are concerned.
That's correct. Well, we'll take things one step at a time.
One step at a time. I think a slight protocol as to what is a business trip and what is not is a good thing to have too. Whether we have it in writing or not, it should probably be attached to that. So, good, next meeting for...
Michelle says there is a policy of trust, right?
Yeah.
Let's study that.
So I should
Okay?
pull that out for next time.
We'll look at that and then we'll mull it over. All right. You want to remind us of that, Jeff, next meeting? Sure.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the offer and generosity, so, but I don't expect it. I do expect to.
It's okay. Okay. We leave it alone. We'll make the gift for the money. All right.
So, we need a motion to approve current payables.
Right, we do.
And I'm prepared to make that motion to approve current month's payables, $24,685.90. And I'd also like to back it up with another motion to approve payroll for November for 15, it's not right.
No, that is right.
No, payroll for November totals $15,077.67. Those are two motions, looking for a second.
Jeff, you want to take a look at the second?
No, we should tax your chairmanship. We need to also make motions.
All right, I'll second this motion. Are we all in favor? Any more questions? No, motion passed. Fine, thank you. Chief correspondence. Oh, no.
Not yet.
Let's go to the budget update, item D4 on the agenda. Is there anything you want to talk about? Budget update.
I don't know.
I'm not the new budget. Yeah, I'm sure for those of you who want to.
Yeah, we're going to go later. 2015.
No, I have nothing.
You, Jeff?
No, I find it useful, perhaps our audience would too, if either you or the chief would give a briefing on the procedures for creating the budget.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to that. That would be item G, that would be item H1. Well, we're still on the item D4. Since we put that D4 in several months ago, we just want to get out with the after.
That's about the existing
The
financial
existing budget
statements.
is when we go.
No, we're okay with that, or anything else?
I'm fine.
Okay,
Okay.
there we go, correspondence. Chief?
No correspondence for this month. We have correspondence that'll be reported in December for November. We have I think we have 2 or 3 correspondence
All right.
coming in, but not for this month.
Good. Chief's report.
Okay, so this is a hot item every month. For purposes of discussion, by the time we get down there, I made my minimum, even though I was gone a week. Okay, so this is Chief's report for November 2014 concerning October 2014. ESIP, our new insurance company, was sent the estimate for utility 5802 to get the the leak repaired, and they have chosen to approve that. They've already cut us a check. Now we have to go down to the repair shop and get the leak repaired in utility 5802 and all the mold and stuff cleaned off on the inside due to leaking through the roof by the emergency lighting system. So it drips on everybody when it's raining and they're driving it down the street, and it's not conducive to probably proper emergency concentration. Communication issues continue. So we had a call in the last 2 days where we had multiple pagers that did not activate for our responders that have pager capability or who have been given pagers. And we had an EMT on scene by themselves for quite some time. I was not on point. I was down at meetings in Bellingham at the time. Heard the call come in, heard a second tone go out. I contacted the EMT on scene and was able to help them coordinate patient care. I actually called one of our volunteers at home whose pager did not activate after 4 tones from our dispatch center in Bellingham, and they reported to the scene and assisted in the transport of that patient. But up to that point, we had one EMT, the EMT that was on duty here responded immediately. We are working with FARS and the communications prospect down in Bellingham and Curtis Moon from Northwest Communications to try to find some type of solution. And right now it's becoming a bigger issue because we only have a certain amount of people that have pagers that are in the response pager area for emergencies. And if they're not activated on the first time, then it's going to delay not only maybe somebody walking through their door, the person who needs that help, but also accompanying members to support them in the care and or structure fire that's needed mitigated. So right now, 8th Street is online. This is the newest tower in Whatcom that has gone up. Lummi was another one, but Lummi is giving us no help from the distance. And 8th Street right now has the capability of paging. It does not have the ability to test a radio communication to see if our ability to reach a tower and be heard by prospect is any better than it has been. Again, to remind the public, we did install 3 repeaters into our vehicles. They have helped moderately, but they have not completely satisfied all of our difficulties here on the point because of the cliffs we're dealing with and the low spots that we have concerning those cliffs as well. So it's an issue that needs to come up, probably discussed next month. I'm asking Prospect to do testing with me this month. If I'm unable to test the radio system with our portables and our apparatus, our mobile radios, then I may ask to go into January with that. But it is becoming something of urgency at this point, and the district, we're going to have to discuss financing possibly a repeater here on the station that would accept the signal and the voice, record it, and then rebroadcast it at 110 watts, which is what we have here on the station. And that would be the best that we could possibly do if 8th Street does not solve our issues for emergency response. That's something that I can bring up and report to you again in December and let you know how the testing went, depending on if I was able to do both or just one. The haunted house was a success. We had right at 100 people at our last count before we had a call. We were over 60, and then we still had another hour and a half, 2 hours in the haunted house, but with the families, the parents, and the children. We did our job because we had a group of young people, I'm not going to say male or female, but young people go through the maze that was in here. They came out screaming and crying, so I guess it was scary enough, and we were able to let them have fun, because they went through it again after they stopped crying in the ambulance. Came back through it because they knew what they were going to expect. But I haven't seen a group of people go through the maze so quickly and get through a tube that's very small so quickly in my life. And at the end of the tube was a graveyard with a body in it, so that made them scream even further. I call for artists. You might have seen on Point Interface. I sent it to the All Point Bulletin as well. That I'm asking for the artists that are in our community to draw pictures similar to the ones that we have on the rigs now, but to scenically do Point Roberts in the fall and winter months. I would be picking those drawings or pictures. You can send photographs as well, and then placing those on the apparatus to continue the basically the revolving artistic representation of our community by utilizing our fire apparatus as a billboard. And I put out a couple of emails to that. So photographs or drawings themselves. There's just have to be 8.5 by 11, so we can scan them and get them transferred over to the material that we use to adhese it to the apparatus. We're currently going through a volunteer hiring process. We received over 45 applications in the interest from the Canadian side. They have a written test coming up this Saturday, and I think 41 of those will be going through that written exam. Right now, we'll probably be putting together a poll list of 10 to 20 volunteers, meaning that 20 will not be brought into that list, but will remain on the possibility to be pulled into the higher list. But we take 20 because we have to run them through the physical agility after they score high enough on written, and then through an interview process. So we dwindle it down just like any hiring process, whether it be career, volunteer, in other organizations. We should have a good group of people. We have a strong, from the people that came to the interview or the informational session, there was a strong showing of great candidates to hopefully become future volunteers for this community. Apparatus, Engine 58, and all the other apparatus, I have no reports. Again, Utility 5802 will be going into repair shop to be corrected. Member roster, we dropped one. We have 44 members. We have a member resigned from the organization. He was working CBP, so Customs and Border Protection, and he took a promotion and got reassigned to the southern border. So he had to leave the organization. We have 33 Canadians, 7 Point Roberts in 4 County, 4 paramedics in that group, 15 EMTs. He was one of our EMTs, so last month we had 16, so it dropped down to 15. We have 4 advanced EMTs among those EMTs, 3 ambassadors, and we have 36 firefighters and 4 Point Roberts. Volunteer hours last month for training and activity was 2,791. Volunteer payroll, if all were getting paid, was 15,662. Combined chief hours, again, I was gone for a week. 94.5 was my hours. I'm contracted to 80, so I was able to make my minimum.
Is it getting any better?
The relationship is going great.
We're talking about that.
The hours will improve from this point forward unless I go to education that's outside that I have to leave. Assistant Chief Shields worked 172 hours for combined chief hours of 266.5. We had a total of 8 calls last month. We had 3 EMS calls, 1 Meredith Northwest transports, 2 no transports out of the EMS. We had an agency assist with law enforcement with a party, and we had 3 fire classifications, 2 automatic alarms for residential, and 1 commercial fire alarm, and none of those resulted in any type of structure fire. We also had 1 other, which was a wrong address.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? Good. Chief, go ahead with the budget of 2015.
Okay, so presenting the budget of 2015, how this budget comes about is I sat down with our financial manager, Suzanne Kinsey, and we looked at the projections of 2014, how we're doing up to this point within that budget, And if we have expenditures that exceed any line items, and we, with the increase of new construction and the taxes coming in for the projections in 2015, we reset the budget, and we added a couple line items this year, which I'll go over very quickly. But we look at the budgets, we change them, we up them, we decrease them to what we project to be the costs of operations in 2015. And then that budget comes here to be presented and to be approved by the commissioners. This year, I'll be only presenting the budget with no increase. The commissioners have the authority to choose the budget with the increase. The line items do not change at all when I'm going through these. The line items, divisions don't change. The only change you're going to see is in the tax revenue that is brought in, because it's about a 1% increase, if I'm correct. It's like a 0.91% increase. And it's a difference of about roughly $5,000 between the no increase and the increased 2015 budgets. So if we take an increase, we're gaining $5,000, which goes into capital reserve. It doesn't change my line items throughout the budget. That money would be put towards capital at that point. So I will bring up, the first thing I'm going to bring up is the volunteer projections. We're going to shut off the lights so the public can see. So 2015 volunteer projections, I did the same thing. This was attached in the 2014 annual budget as well, which is online. All of this information can be found online for 2014, so the same process is followed. But this will be attached to whichever budget is chosen by the commissioners. For 2015, the budget with an increase or the budget without an increase. So to cover what we do on the volunteer side, something that's new this year is I put in a line item for the volunteer projections for the paramedic coverage. And it's 4 days a month, times 12 months at $500, and that's a 28-hour shift. So this is paramedics that are coming up from the county that I work with. They have to be Whatcom County certified, allowed to work in this county since we are part of Whatcom County. So the cost for that to cover 4 days a month is $24,000. The EMT coverage Monday through Friday daytime, that's a 10-hour shift. This is something we've been doing for the last year, year and a half. And we have an EMT, Jody Ingalls is one of my advanced EMTs. She's also a District 7 employee. She sits in front of you today, but she's working one of the 10-hour shifts. So she comes up, she's here by approximately 8 a.m. and she stays until 6 p.m. And then if she has a shift tomorrow, she has the right to stay here over the evening, or she leaves and she goes home and then she'll report back at her next scheduled shift. Okay? So that's $220. That's the maximum that I'm paying for that 10-hour shift at this point. So $220 times 5 days a week, 52 weeks is $57,000. Weekend duty program, we have an average of 6 to 8 members on duty every week. This is how it is split up. The captain receives $280 for a 48-hour tour. The engineer receives $100 for that 48 hours of time. The firefighters each receive $72. And then the EMT receives $120. So there's an EMT coverage for that full weekend. Our weekend duty coverage starts Friday night at 6 p.m. and ends at Sunday night at 6 p.m. And that's every weekend of the month, every year. That includes Christmas weekend. So we have volunteers that come here and they leave their families if Christmas falls on weekends. They're here protecting this community. So that 860 is the total, times 52 weeks is roughly $45,000. Emergency response, we're projected to run about 160 calls. Right now we're at 146, 147 calls for the year for 2014. I'm projecting 160 calls, 5 responders per call. We pay $15 per emergency call for the responders. That equals $12,000. Checkpoint transports, we pay a heavier stipend because they have to take more time away from their homes, their families, and drive the people to Checkpoint Bravo, which is Ladner Trunk, and Highway 99, or St. Joseph's Transports, which is a 3-hour turnaround minimal, depending on traffic. Training, we offer 46 trainings a year. Those are Thursday nights. We pay $13 a member for that. I'm expecting approximately 30 members per practice. That's roughly $18,000. I conduct 5 burn trainings down at District 12, which is Britton Loop. It's District 4, but it's Station 12 in the Whatcom County Fire System for North Whatcom. And we conduct 5 burns. That's over 6 hours at a time. So our members travel from here to the burn center and then back from the burn center to here. Anything over 6 hours is paid at $20 per member. And every member is required to go through a burn training that is definitely firefighter qualified. And I also expect our EMTs and our engineers to participate in those burns too. But if a member does not make a burn, we had 4 members, I think, this year that did not complete a burn. Therefore, they are not allowed to go interior suppression, even though they're firefighter trained, because of the risk. They need to see that fire on a yearly basis. This is above and beyond what the state requires. But with this, I want them to be as safe as possible and get the most experience. The next burn we have scheduled is probably around March of 2015. When they get that in, they'll be allowed to go back into suppression. That's a cost of $5,400. Weeknight coverage, we require 2 firefighters to be here every weeknight except during the weekend, because that's covered by the weekend duty crews. So Monday through Thursday, we have 2 firefighters that come in that sleep here. They're Canadians. They sleep here, and they are the support and response to the Point Roberts members for the EMTs that are on duty. 2 members a night, we pay $20 for that shift. 4 days a week at 52 weeks is $8,400. So total volunteer cost projection is $170,000 if we use all this. I try to project high with the number of people that will be at practice, so I have a little bit of freedom towards the end of the year and can do possibly different things if that's allowed, depending on how we've used this budget so far. To let you know, the Canadian members are required to meet a 60% participation of our Thursday night trainings. And the county is brought up, and their understanding or the hopes for them is to participate in 30% of those trainings. But all the county members are career firefighters, and they also get the training and the experience that they're coming from the career organization. So the concentration is making sure that the volunteers are here at least 60% of the time, so we have an efficient, effective, and educated response to the community. So that's the volunteer projection, 2015. So this is going over the budget for 2015. No cost or no increase taken by the commissioners. Now again, if the commissioners choose to take the increase, I believe this moves to $559,000. It's roughly $4,000 difference somewhere in there. So it's right at $559,000, $560,000 is the difference of that 1% if the commissioners choose to take it. Again, I want to remind you that if the commissioners choose to take that increase, none of these lines change. Okay, so none of my division specifics, specific lines change. The excess would go into the capital reserve. So to compare to 2014, 2015, because of the increase, the new construction, our funds are going to be coming in at $555,000. 2014, we had $547,000.
535.
535.
You said 555.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Just to go down the lines here, the audit budget last year was $5,000 because we were going through audit and we zeroed that out. So that money has been used other places. Legal decreased from $7,000 to $5,000 for 2015. The insurance in 2014 was $19,000. If you remember, we just changed insurance companies because now we have our own insurance certificate of insurance. We believe that the company we've gone to now is much better protection for the district. That's increased our cost up to 23 from 19. The FICA medical fire chief, we had some projections last year that we were unsure about or did not know. So we had $6,300 for 2015. We only budgeted about $3,800 last year, so we increased that just due to the things that we found out over the last year.
Well, and that's the fire chief and the assistant fire
Yeah,
chief.
so that's both chiefs combined. Department L&I, in 2014 it was 1,000. We've had to increase that, and now we have it projected at 3,900. FUTA, can you explain FUTA?
FUTA is federal unemployment tax, and it's calculated on wages at the end of the year by the federal government.
So this is something that we haven't had in the budget before, and it's something that's a new division line item, and it's projected to be around 4,600. The computer software in 2014, it was at 4,000. We've been able to complete the purchase of some new computers, so we reduced that back down to 2,500. Professional services, we've grouped this into the webmaster that we have that takes care of our internet, also our physician advisor, so we have a DEA license here, be able to carry all of our medications that are appropriate for my level of care. That was increased from 3,500 to 7,500, just so we can be a little bit more accurate within that. And travel and conferences, 2,500, and this year we put it at 5,000 for that line item. Suppression division. In 2014, it was 99,000. What I do at the end of the year, I'll be getting in together with Suzanne, and we go back through payroll. And I split out what was medical payroll and what was firefighter payroll, and we transfer funds to make sure that I'm showing you, the public, and the commissioners what we're spending on medical response and what we're spending in fire-related activities to try to be more accurate versus just shoving it into a suppression division, and we have medical grouped in there too. So it's reduced down to 80,000 from 99. The wellness program, I was able to buy some new equipment. It was 6,000 last year. We reduced that down to 3,500. The operational clothing, we're doing pretty good there. It was 17,000 last year. Reduced that down to 13,000 this year, and that's operational clothing. Our fire suppression pants, our bunker gear, those types of things are all purchased through that. So I'll tell you, a pair of bunkers with helmet and everything else is over $2,000 a member. And some of the bunker gear we have in now is, we have a lot of new bunker gear, but some of the old ones are becoming 10 years old, and after 10 years they're considered obsolete by current standards, and they have to be replaced. Suppression training division. I don't have anything to report there. Nothing's changed. Maintenance division is the same. The adjustments, so we have 80,000 in fire suppression. We have 90,000 in the EMS division. Because I'm projected to spend more money there. So the 90 plus 80 equals what I went over in the projected cost for our volunteer participation at 170,000. A new line item is the defibrillation maintenance contract. This is with Physio Control. Those are the Medtronics, the manufacturers of our AED fleet, our life packs, all the AEDs we have out in the community as well. For a 3-year period, that's right at $12,000. So it's budgeted at $4,000 a year, and they will bill us annually versus us having to come up for one lump sum over that 3-year period. So that's a new line item. EMT training, we have some interested parties coming up this year. Last year I had 15,000 in that. I reduced it down to 12,000 because I'm looking at, I've used Idaho in the past 2 classes, been extremely successful. Jody Ingalls was one of my advanced EMTs who went through the Idaho program, was at the top of her class, very successful, came over on reciprocity from Idaho, had no problems getting certified at the state level. And this year, the same type of course, same makeup, is actually offered out of Spokane. So it's about $400 cheaper per member, and there won't be any travel involved, so I was able to reduce my budget there. At the end of the year, the projected balances to go into capital reserve would be $24,180. And the difference between the budgets, so my total expenses for 2015 are projected to be $531,000. In 2014, they were $522,000. And that's my presentation of the budget. Now the commissioners need to choose on the increase, or if you have any questions regarding this budget, please feel free to ask.
Now, just to be clear, I don't know why you have that last page there, but that 24,000 should be across from capital fund
Yeah.
allocation, not across from reserve fund.
So I'll add to that, I guess. So what our hopes is that our reserve fund now has, is it 6 months or years? In our reserve, in our savings.
I think 6 months was our original goal.
Yeah, and I think we're about 10,000
Let me see. the
short
financial statement.
of that.
This one?
No, that,
Let's see what we're
no, the
saying.
balance sheet is what I'm, sorry, no, that. Just that. So in reserve, we have $257,000 in reserve. So let's say,
That's about 300, that's about 534.
yeah, I mean, average, we're spending, let's say 30 grand a month, averaging out. So that carries us.
So it's roughly 6 months.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a little more than 6 months, and that's fine.
Since we are helping out our reserves, what I would like to have the commissioners consider is putting what we would have in excess, anything that I don't spend throughout the year that adds to that bottom line of the 24,000, that it would all go into the capital reserve account. We don't accrue in savings, correct? But we do accrue some percentage in the capital.
Oh, no, okay.
Or is it the opposite?
No. Wipe your mind.
Okay.
On every account we have, our general expense account, our reserve account, our donation account, our capital fund account. Each account has two parts to it. It has an expense account that draws no interest, and it has an investment portion that does draw interest. And I take any excess funds in any of those accounts, and I put them in the investment so that it does draw. All that $257,000
Yeah.
is in an investment account under reserve.
Correct.
Okay, same thing with the capital fund. We've got 224. It's in an investment. Okay, so everything earns interest. I just have to put the money in there.
Right. The reason why I request that is in 2016, if we're not able to acquire grants, we have approximately $170,000 bill coming due, and that's going to be on our SCBA's replacement. Our SCBA's, I think as I reported last month, we're 2 cycles behind safety requirements for our SCBA's, and they're over 10 years old. Our bottles are coming up due for hydrostatic, and the bottles alone are going to be around $70,000 to replace. So just so you know the costs that are going to be coming up in the future, in a year and a half at the most, we're going to have about a $170,000 bill to replace our SCBA's. And that's only 20 SCBA's to meet the current safety standards for our firefighters and industry standards when it comes to suppression and protection.
Thank you. Gentlemen, do you need more time to study the resolutions? Do you know what slide you're going to vote on? Or you have any questions or comments regarding the resolutions that you want to vote on?
I completely do not understand, just like last year. I have 4 resolutions in front of me. I want to know which ones are the resolution for no increase to the budget that was just presented to us.
7 and 8.
7 and 8.
It is a little difficult.
I'm happy to bring those up on the screen for the public to see.
On the development is correct.
Would the public like to see the resolutions?
No. I don't think so.
I think we can read them.
Absolutely, I'll bring it up on the screen. Which, can you choose or have a discussion which one you would like to? The difference between them are that 0.91%.
Okay, let's do it this way. Since the difference is, like you said, about $4,000 or $5,000, we go for the 1%, a little less than 1% increase if we are entitled to. Do you feel that we need that increase by 1% or $4,000 or $5,000 in order to continue doing business as a district as we know it today?
And remember that you can bank it. You can bank capacity. So if you don't take it this year, and we decide you need the money next year, it's sitting there for you.
That's right. You can take all of those two.
I believe we've banked the last 3 years.
Yes,
2 or 3?
3 for sure.
2 for sure, I think we've banked the last 3.
I think this will be the 3rd year.
Okay, so my, I think simple question to you guys is, do you feel you need the extra $4,000 or $5,000 this year to operate the fire station as we know it, or do you feel you don't need it?
Well, I
Yes or
feel,
no?
nothing's a yes or no for me.
Okay. Try to give me a clear answer. No, or
My feeling is that we have worked to our budget successfully with some skill and effort. I think that the community right now is not anxious to see an increase. I'm torn between between the usefulness of an increase and the fact that that will give us more cushion in the year that we expect to hope to break even on the budget. We have some reserves from past tax, don't we?
We have bank capacity from the increases that we haven't taken in previous years. And we don't have a budget where we're breaking even. We have a budget that's projected without the increase to have an overage of about $24,000. So the money, and I'm not sure what the regulation is when we can take our bank. I'll have to ask her that. Let's say in the middle of the year, you guys decide you want to take the bank capacity. I don't know if you can do it then, or if it has to be, at the end of the budget year. So,
that would be an interesting question to ask. However, if it comes that far, we've done something horribly wrong.
well, it seems like, we have,
We have enough money.
we have money in reserve, we have money in capital fund, we still have money in donations.
Yeah.
We have investment money that we, run our operation off of. So I can't foresee that we're gonna.
It would be an interesting theoretical question, though. I'd like
Oh,
to
no,
know.
I will ask that.
Well, based on what Suzanne said, I really see no reason personally to take the increase. It should be a no increase here, as long as we can bank it. We question
You
it.
can? No, you can.
How about you, Jeff?
I agree with my fellow commissioner.
Okay.
The time is right to no increase.
Okay, having that knowledge now, if we do not hold the increase, then we have to stick with resolution 7 and resolution 8. Resolution 7
think.
Yeah.
So resolution 7,
Yeah.
that's it right there, so the
Do,
public.
well, do eight.
You wanna do
It
eight
should-
first?
Yeah, do eight first. It should have been numbered differently. Oh,
Resolution number 8, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire District number 5 as follows, whereas that the attached Exhibit A, which by this reference is made a part of this resolution, is hereby adopted as the budget of Whatcom County Fire District number 5, which will be the budget for no increase for the calendar year of 2015. Whereas the County Treasurer of Whatcom County, Washington is hereby authorized and directed to deposit the sequester of the monies received from the collection of the 2015 tax levy in the amount of the funds specified as follows. $535,362.15 into the expense fund of the said district. This does not include a levy increase. Whereas that one copy of the budget resolution be delivered to the assessor of Whatcom County, Washington, adopted by the board this date, November 12, 2014.
Okay, that was 8. Go over number 7 then.
Resolution 2014-07, whereas the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire District 5 has met and considered the budgets for the calendar year 2015, and whereas the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County 5, after hearing and after duly considering all relevant evidence and testimony presented, determined that Whatcom County Fire District 5 does not require an increase, 0%, in property tax revenue from the previous year. In addition to that, resulting from the addition of new construction and improvements to property and any increase in the value of state assessed property and amounts authorized by law as a result of any annexations that have occurred and refunds made in order to discharge the expenses and obligations of the district and in its best interest now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Whatcom County Fire District number 5 that there will be no increase, 0%, in the regular property tax levy, in addition to the increase resulting from the addition of new construction and improvements to property and any increase in the value of state assessed property is hereby not authorized for the 2015 levy, adopted the 12th day of November at the regular meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, the only thing I see wrong here is it doesn't say in either one of these two resolutions that it's banked. It should state that.
no, but the resolution doesn't. I go to the county assessor, which has nothing to do with Whatcom County. She's an entity unto herself. And the assessor is the one who banks the monies, okay?
I'm just looking for something, like they say, something in writing to assure that all our good intentions here tonight.
Well, I
are
do
carried out.
send her something in writing when I ask her to bank it. But
Okay.
it doesn't have to be a resolution.
Okay.
The other thing you have to remember as well is that when the county assesses the new construction and property values for that tax year, we always get more money than what we've asked for, not even taking an increase, okay? Because that's just how their system works. But we don't know how much money we're going to get until probably by the end of February.
That does not change the
No,
budget
it
that
doesn't
is
change
approved.
anything,
Nothing
except we have
changes.
more money.
Correct. Nothing changes with what our expectations were for expenses.
Understand? You understand?
Yes, I understand. I just wanted to question it out. I
Okay.
just wanted on public record that we are counting on banking it. So,
So why don't I say, Mr. Chairman, be it resolved that the Board of Commissioners pass resolution number 2014-07, a resolution to set the increase to 0. In addition, I would ask that we pass resolution number 2014-08, which is a resolution to subordinate,
Accept the budget
yeah.
to accept the budget.
as presented.
Okay, and I
Okay, so that's, we do that in the form of a motion, okay? In the form of a motion that we approve resolution 7 You don't specify what it's for, anyway, because the resolution itself says it all.
No, it's, well,
Okay, so we understand. Do I have a second for that?
I'll second the motion.
All in favor?
I,
Okay, any further discussion? No, motion back, two motions back. Okay, good. Mr. Goff, any questions about the, no, nothing? I know you want to know about budgets. Okay. So just a reminder, next year, 11 o'clock, Veterans Day.
Got pig leg Meg these days.
What's
so-
that?
Got pig leg Meg these days, so she couldn't make it.
We have
Pig legs.
And,
Poor me, you're picking on.
Oh, you can't say that
Did you
no,
receive,
no.
Yeah, no,
did you receive the article that was written up?
yes, I got some pictures, but they were low res. So I emailed back and said we need higher resolution.
If you contact Jeanette Mersing, she has the original JPEGs. I was going to tell you that.
Yeah, we got, in the end, we expressed at the beginning, about 81 people, I think, was the final tally that participated.
Folks, anything else?
Yes. Update on the roofing, is it going to be able to be done?
Thank you for asking that. I've been playing phone tag with Bob Baker, and Steve and I are hopefully going to nail down before this end of the week, and answering the questions, making sure that we have the right material, and possibly getting a re-estimate on that, depending if it changes. But I did call our legal counsel, and if we start a project that's underneath the bid level, and for things that are not seen or foreseen within that take it over the $20,000 bid level, is perfectly lawful. And we don't have to stop the project and go on to bid at that point. The project can continue.
That's satisfying to me. The other thing I have is down the hallway here, we paid an exorbitant amount of money for new flooring. We have a tear in the floor
Yes.
at a doorway. That tear can be fixed very reasonably right now. Pretty soon you'll be asking for the whole floor to be replaced.
Right.
Let's do it now.
I was hoping for marble. Marble flooring, you guys aren't up to that? You guys, that's like new
What?
construction, right?
You don't ever know hours and budget.
And I'm not picking on you or trying to blindside on that, but I think a floor repair at this point in time, I think that they can epoxy that together if it doesn't get torn up anymore. If we could, even if we were to tape it right now so it doesn't, somebody doesn't trip over it and break it. It was very expensive commercial flooring when it went in. It can be repaired now without costing 10 times as much. 6
I will
months.
take care of that.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Anything else? Jeff? Anything?
no, sir?
Okay. Public? No? Thank you. Have a motion for adjournment?
I so move to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you.
And we have some snacks and a...
Thank you, everyone.
Well, yes, sir.
Yeah.